the funny thing about I'm watching people online like make up these like I've kind of been I take myself out of the Twitter conversations because half of these people they have zero idea about the music industry and they're just pushing an agenda, right? So a lot of times I see when people read these things, the conclusions they come to are just flat out incorrect. So I'll help you guys try to navigate through this a little bit. Obviously I do have some feelings about the lawsuit. And if you guys want that as well, I'll give it to you. But I'll try to help you navigate through how this works. Because what happens is that you get a bunch of, I'll say, industry illiterate people breaking down industry coded conversations. Okay. So Drake wanted Kendrick Lamar's recording contract, among other things. Drake actually filed a document. He filed a document basically saying, give me a second, that they were requesting for a bunch of things to be produced. Now, let me just give you, and let me get to it. Motion to, okay, here we go. So we need this, and then we need one more. Okay. Send declaration. Here we go. Okay, bet. Okay, so let me explain to you how, again, I think we've been through this. I feel like we're almost damn near legal experts ourselves. This is a civil case. The way it works is that there is a very long process, especially when you have lawyers firing off motions and oppositions to motions, and then there's appeals, and then sometimes the court has to deal with, the judge has to deal with a lot of people because there's a lot of parties involved. Now, usually it starts with a complaint. A complaint is filed in court. After the complaint is filed, you serve the person. After service is done, you basically then start the process. Now, there's some not motions, but pre-procedural processes that happen. And if you ever look at a docket of like court, you'll see it in a civil legal proceeding. However, one of the first things that is very important is we need discovery. Discovery is evidence that is going to be used to prove or disprove the case. What is discovery? Discovery is basically both parties are allowed to request reasonable documents, evidence that could be provided by the other side that they could prove their point, which means, hey, listen, I got hurt at your house. I asked you to pay me. Maybe this was out of court. You're like, this ain't my house. I could request the title, the deed, the proof that you have a lease with the house. So you could, that's all good for discovery. Okay. So now let's bring this to the Drake case. Okay. And then once you're at discovery, at least it works in most state courts in the civil cases. No court wants to have an actual trial. They're going to force you to go into mediation. Go sit down, go figure it out. See if we could avoid and save the court resources, taxpayers' times who are paying the judges by y'all figuring it out with somebody in the middle. Hey, yo, what do you want? What do you want? Could we figure this out some way? It all gets dismissed. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 of these meetings that happen. We're not even there yet, but that's usually after the discovery phase. Okay? So after discovery, you do that. Also, in between, and kind of like, this discovery phase is a long phase, you get to do, and this is what, I think everybody's weaponizing now in hip hop, these things called depositions. Depositions are a fact-finding, fact-building method, just like asking for a document or a contract that you're like, hey, we want to compel this person to sit, and we ask him any question for this amount of time, and we could hopefully gather some evidence to help the case. Okay? Now, hip-hop is very different now. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a bunch of legal shit going on. And it's going on. We usually think about it in the criminal sense, but it's happening in the civil sense. Meg Thee Stallion, she's doing that. Meg Thee Stallion just, Aiden Ross. Remember I was on Kick with Aiden Ross? And I told Aiden somebody subpoenaed me to do a deposition in a case they're not even suing me in. They're suing another blogger, Milagro. They just subpoenaed Aiden Ross. They want to see if Aiden Ross got paid by Tory. They have all these and really at this point, I don't even think Rock Nation or these companies actually believe that Aiden Ross got paid by Tory Lanez. Aiden Ross is up at $200 million. You think he got paid? What do you think Tory paid him to be on the side? What do you think Tory paid me to be on the side? But that's their thought. And really, I think that's not even a legit thought. I think it's more to harass people now, right? So it's like, we're going to bring Aiden Ross in. Maybe we could ask him about if he's talked to Tory in jail and if he ever paid for Tory's lawyers or if he, whatever. You get what I'm saying? So that's one of the things too. And by the way, I'm giving you this layout because this is going to happen in this Drake case. They're going to do their best to say, we need to have a deposition with Kendrick. And Drake's lawyers are going to sit there and ask Kendrick about, have you ever cheated on your wife? I'm letting y'all know this is going to happen. Have you ever cheated on your wife? Has your wife ever cheated? By the way, you have to be truthful in a deposition. You're actually sworn in. You raise your right hand. They say, yo, do you swear? Yes, because it's basically a sworn declaration. It's just in audio and video. So whenever Drake gets Kendrick in a deposition, and by the way, I'm surprised. I think Kendrick is trying to keep it hip hop, honestly, because Kendrick should file a countersuit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, nigga, you bringing me up in this shit, I'm gonna bring you up in some shit. Okay? They're gonna ask Kendrick, nigga, you ever cheat on your girl? You ever beat your girl? You ever slapped her? You ever did this? You ever? And he has to answer these things. We're a long way off from that, right? And I could imagine Kendrick has lawyers that are going to say, Drake ain't suing me. He need to get up with the niggas he's suing. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Right? And that'll probably maybe be successful because Kendrick isn't the source of the lawsuit. However, he's referenced a shit ton of times. So Drake is suing UMG. And remember, Spotify is not added to this. They were in a pre-litigation action, and also iHeartMedia was in a pre-litigation action, but those have been resolved, and it's just Drake versus UMG. Cool. Drake is asking for a discovery. And if the judge finds that his claim has some merit to be listened to, they could enforce that these requests that he has to be at least listened to. Okay? Now, this is not the whole thing. Sorry. Okay. Here, well, let me find the full request. Is this it? Okay, there's Lucian right there. And then there's another one. Okay. Is it this? No. Oh, this is with the... Oh, okay, yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, so these are the requests Drake's team and his lawyers are requesting. He wants the contracts between UMG and Kendrick. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and brother, I'm just always going to kick it straight with y'all. I'm not a fan of this shit. I'm not a fan of this lawsuit, period. I think it's just trying to pry. I don't think Kendrick's contract has nothing to do with Not Like Us, my nigga. I just don't. However, this is where I think we're at in rap. You get to essentially bully somebody legally, right? Now, granted, the Kendrick lie, yes. I think Drake should have sued Kendrick. You lied on me, nigga. Fuck it. You lied. But this idea, we're looking at contracts. There's nothing in this contract that's going to say, even though I guess the thinking here is Kendrick was incentivized to make up these lies. I think niggas just want to pull Kendrick's contract to see what he's really getting. And I'm pretty sure if Drake gets it, Drake gonna diss him 50 million times more subliminally. Like, yeah, nigga, I know you got that 80-20 split. Like, yo, I know all of that. Yeah, it's gonna happen. But anyway, he wants the contracts, right? Cool. By the way, UMG did produce some shit. I'm gonna let you know they gave. So he wants anything with UMG and Kendrick. Okay? And he wants these agreements to reflect who has the right. Okay, this makes sense. Okay. So good. So he's basically saying he don't care how much, which I would hope. So you don't care how much he's getting or what his splits are. Good. But you want the agreements to reflect whose right it is to approve, reject, refuse, publish, edit, amend, alter, or veto the publication of his music. Okay. Now, that's also a little bit of an interesting request if you ask me, chat. Because the same contract or the same way how Drake contract is probably worded the same. Y'all are two big artists on a major label. They're not reinventing the wheel for one nigga and not for you. So if you have the right, if the label has the right to approve, reject, refuse, or publish, and they have the final say over your music, they probably do have it over Kendrick's music. And maybe this is just a formality because they just need it to proceed. But I would imagine, like Drake, you could look in the mirror and figure out what it is, right? Like, nigga, the right to do these things is probably the same thing with you, right? Drake document request 2. All documents and communications relating to your approval and consent to the publishing the record. So again, you know, these are sign-offs. So usually when a record comes out, whether it's a DocuSign or something, like there's some agreements that have to be signed. You know what I mean? Hey, we're releasing it. We own the rights. The person who produced it be like, hey, we own the rights of the this, da-da-da. And it's almost like transferring all the rights, right? Any communications between Ramon relating to recording, da-da-da-da, and promotion of the music works by Kendrick Lamar. So basically anything related to their digital guy promoting the record. Cool. All documents, communication relating to payment, reimbursements, and discretionary marketing funds for the benefit of Kendrick Lamar Duckworth or any person working on his behalf, including but not limited to Anthony Select. Okay. All documents, communications relating concerns that all right. Written, made to you relating to payola violations regarding any music works by Kendrick Lamar Duckworth. All documents, communications relating to any actions contemplated or contemplate actions you undertook with respect to the copyright restrictions for the recording, but not limited to alteration, modification, assessment. Okay. Documents sufficient to show your internal policies, procedures, and guidelines relating to the enforcement of that restriction over the publication, playing, streaming, or sharing of the music works. Okay. All documents and communications relating to the Grammys. Okay, I get what they're trying to do. They're basically trying to build this out to say UMG doesn't have a clean hand in this. And if anything, they helped this record that Drake believes is a defamatory record. They help spread it. Like, for example, right? If someone makes a defamatory video, they're like, yo, they defame someone and it's a video and I repost it. I then add millions of eyeballs and I amplify it. And if it's defamatory, I have now been included in increasing the view of this defamatory thing. Now, the thing with defamation is defamation is really hard to prove. Some people think it's easy. Oh, you talk bad about me or you lied about me. Well, a lie usually is, because it's a lie, it's easier to prove in defamation, but it's still hard. I'm going to tell you why. You need to prove that the person who intend to defame you knew that they were doing this to defame you and that they had some malice while doing this to defame you. So Drake's idea is, UMG allowed this guy to defame me because they wanted to alter the terms of a possible negotiation. That would constitute malice. That would constitute pretty much standard defamation, but also a lot of other business-related issues that I'm pretty sure, or I forgot what the counts are in this lawsuit. Those would be, you're doing unethical business at that point, right? Okay, so they want to know if UMG helped set up the Super Bowl thing. Okay, cool. Documents sufficient to show streams, views, including, okay. Documents to show executive compensation structure and annual incentive plans for John Janik for the past 5 years. Now, again, I'm going to keep saying this. Respectfully, I don't really have a horse in a race like this. To me, it's like, The only thing that interests me, I like getting in people's business. So them giving these details out, I'm gonna have a blast going through it. But do I think that the CEO of Interscope, his incentive pack, well, yeah, man. Actually, no, it is relevant. It is relevant. Remember I told y'all Atlantic, basically, remember when Atlantic was trash? But right before they have a new regime change and they dropped Meek, they dropped Kodak, Youngboy left. I told y'all the reason. There was an incentive package for those executives for them to get, I forgot how much money. It was like $100 million split among all the executives at Atlantic, as long as they had like 3 consecutive quarters, net positive. So what they did was, we're not spending money. We're just going to make money. Because, with the music business, you invest a lot. You invest a lot because you're going to get it on the back end. But then when Warner went public, there was this, they're trying to get the stock price up that we're doing good. We're getting revenue. So they give this incentive package to their executives. And basically that incentive package told the executives, don't spend money. Don't sign artists. Don't promote artists because you're wasting money. Just sit back. You got a lot of catalog. Let the catalog bring in money, increase those margins. What happens? You hit that threshold. You get $100 million. You're good. You get what I'm saying? So I could see that. So I think where Drake Lawyer is coming from here. By the way, for anybody, for all the OVO stands and like the little like K-bot dick riders, like I'm doing my job here. Don't take none of what I'm saying to think I'm either on both y'all sides or one of y'all sides. I'm just trying to break down this as per my job. Really, I'm doing my job, brother. Like, what I mean? Like, y'all keep thinking Drake paid everybody. Drake never paid me a motherfucking coin. So I'm doing my job. So if I make a point and it falls on Drake's side or it falls on Kendrick or UMG side, I'm not getting paid. I'm just really just breaking it down, using logic or my logic, knowing how this music industry works. So yeah, I can see how that goes. So it looks like Drake is kind of making this theme to say, and that actually makes sense a little bit. And by the way, I'm thinking in real time too. UMG, no. So there've been a battle between Monty Littman, who runs Republic, that's where Drake is under, and John Janik, who runs Interscope, that's where Kendrick is on. There've been a battle between those guys to see who's going to be the top dog at UMG. So I could imagine you're probably want to look into the CEO's compensation package to see, well, if your top op, business-wise, not real op, business-wise, is the nigga who is Drake's CEO, you kill 2 birds with 1 stone if you get your artist to dismantle Drake because it hurts your top op, that CEO, and it hurts their artist, Drake. So, okay, maybe that's what they're getting at. And what happens is, if you guys know anything about these companies, they always have incentive packages. Hey, if you get more than 15% revenue than last year, you get $400,000. And that's like the bonus. So you know what they do all year? We got to beat last year's numbers by 15%. They do anything to get it. They would fucking make some shit up. They will slime you out. They'll do anything. That's just most executives. They work off incentives, especially when it's publicly traded. Hey, you need to do shit to get certain margins that our investors are going to be happy. And when you do that, you look better in the company. You get more money, whatever. So I'm guessing that's the angle they're going with. Document 12. Executive, Interscope, executive, incentive metrics. Okay. For all the officers and John Janik. All right. Communications about you sending litigation hold notices and recipients on these notices of the allegations in the complaint. Oh, okay. So they want to know. So, and Anthony Saleh told me this. They basically said Universal, when their relationship with Drake was becoming tumultuous, Universal started really trying to rein things in because they realized it's going to be a big deal. So they would tell people, yo, hey, just brace yourself and don't do certain things because I think we're about to get sued if this doesn't go right with Drake. Okay. All communications related to May 7th, May 8th, and May 9th, trespassing attempts at Drake's house. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and here's the thing about legal documents. I think this is Drake's lawyer, and I'm not bailing Drake out at all. But I'll say this. If Drake reasonably thinks that any of these things, if he thinks that shooting at his house was over the Kendrick thing, like, come on, bro. Come on. Now, obvious as a lawyer, you're going to put it in there because it came at a time during then. You know, if you know when it comes to that situation. It's a larger thing. But I ain't gonna lie, I might be able to see the trespassing situations. I mean, his house was on it was on the cover photo. So I could see that too. So, you know, all these things, like, you look at it and, like, if you look at it in one lens, you're like, yo, Drake, you're dragging it, bro. But then in another lens, it's like, am I dragging it? Them niggas put my house on the fucking flyer. Like, Meek tweeted some shit with my address, and there was mad cops that showed up later because they got calls about my house. So, yeah, so it's like you could, in one sense, you could be like, nah, you're kind of like, you're doing too much. And in another light, it's like, no, you're not. Like, you're actually telling the truth here. Document 15. All communications regarding the promotion of the record on Spotify and Apple. Remember, the record, UMG did a deal with Spotify for I believe 30% revenue for Spotify on the song if they got increased promotion. Now, Spotify has since responded to that by saying, yeah, we did a deal with Universal, but we've done deals with Universal for several artists. And it's not out of the ordinary that we offer labels that we will promote your song on our platform more if we get more of the revenue. So they're saying it just wasn't a Kendrick thing, right? Document 16. All right. Documents to show how much money spent by UMG directly or indirectly of the production and recording of the video. Documents sufficient to show the total monthly spend by UMG directly or indirectly. Okay.